in one of the previous videos, I made this jig that allows you to weigh the small end and the big end of the connecting rods. So it's finally time to put it to the test, but before I do this, what I want to do is I will measure the total weight of every connecting rod, just so I can have a general idea what kind of errors to expect. You know, if we're talking about 1 gram or 2 grams, at least you'll know what to expect when you measure the fronts and the backs as far as difference. So I have a table. I'm going to write everything down, maybe, you know, double it up, make sure that I weigh them all a couple of times, make sure that there are no errors there, and after that I will proceed with measuring the fronts. Let's see, first connecting rod, 580.8. Second one, 579.8. Make sure it weighs the same. Third one, 581.8. It's a pretty significant difference. Fourth one is 581.3. Maybe 4. 3, 4, 3, 4. Okay, so it's somewhere in there. I guess 4. We may have to redo the measurements for the other ones just to be on the safe side. But let's see. I'm pretty sure this thing weighs the exact same. Apparently it does. So let's see. $581.2. Okay, 581.3, so it's the same weight. $580.8. Next. $579 on the dot. $580.6 for the seventh. 581.1. Now, just to be on the safe side, I'm going to take number 3. Previous measurement was 581.8, so we're probably about a gram. It depends on how the scale reads it, but it's really, really close. Number 3. Okay, we're going to call it 581.7 for the second measurement. So that's pretty close. And a tenth of a gram, I think we're good. This is number 4, 581.3. Previous measurement was 581.3. Okay. So let's see, we'll take number 1. 580.8.7. So it looks like everything's fluctuating up and down a gram, a tenth of a gram. The previous measurement for this one was 580.8. So 580.7 is what we're getting. Let's see, number 2. Number 2, previous measurement was 579.8. So this one looks closer to that. 579.8. Measurement is the same. We have number 5 left. Number 5, 580.8. Previous measurement was 580.8. Six. 579 on the dot was the same measurements as last time. And then we have 7. 580.6, that's the same as last time. 580.6. 581. I think previous measurement was 581.1. So the only ones that were off are number 1, number 3, and number 8. And those were up or down a tenth of a gram. So we're more than likely this ones are on the cusp, maybe a 0.05, and it's fluctuating up or down depending on how the wind blows. So I think we're pretty good. We're going to take the lower measurements, even everything out, and then reweigh everything. So at least that gives me a general idea. See, the lightest one we have is 579, and the heaviest one we have is 581.7. So that's a pretty significant difference. We're looking at almost 3 grams, 2.7 grams in total difference in weight. So I'm pretty sure they're not going to be balanced close. They may be in spec, but we'll see. The box says the small end should be 156, the big end should be 425, and the manufacturer says that they balance plus or minus 1 gram. So we'll see. I mean, 156, we're expecting to see 155 at the lowest, 157 at the highest. We'll see. If they're in that range, then it means that they're in spec according to their manufacturing process, but they may not be, you know, it's something that we can probably work with. Now, I did ask the manufacturer where the best spot is to take material if need be, and they said the shoulders for the back, and they said the sides for the front. Now, I'm assuming they don't mean this side, I'm assuming they mean this side, so you probably shave a little bit here. This is probably how they do it in manufacture. They probably shave this part to get it to the proper weight. So that's what we're going to do. We'll probably shave it this on the grinder just a little bit if needed. So we don't know as of yet. So I'm going to rearrange everything, get everything situated, and then we will start measuring the small ends. So now that I have everything set up, it's time to measure. So let's see if my expectations are met by this product. 156, that's right on the money. Or 150, it looks like it's going up and down, but 156, we'll call it 156. That's pretty impressive. It is exactly what the box says. However, the total weight of the other ones is not even close, so I'm expecting this one to be underweight. $155.6. It's not bad. 0.4 grams off. Not bad at all. $155.6. Okay. Up to this point, it's not bad at all. See, number 3. Number 3 was a lot heavier. So expectation is that this will be over 156. $156.6. Make sure that there are no errors in our positioning here. 156.6. Okay, so we have at least a gram difference. 156.5. Is it settled on one? It looks like it's probably in between. Okay, number 4. Number 4 was fairly close to the last one. So let's see. $156.7. It's actually heavier. $158.8. Number 6, I think this one's the lightest one, so it should be under, but we'll see. Oh, this is definitely way under. 154.9. So we're looking close to 2 grams difference. Well, actually 156, man, not under 2, but not that far off. 154.8. I guess it's 4.8. That may be me moving the table. $156.1 for the 7th one. If we'll let it sit a little bit. 150, 156. Okay, well, we're up or down a gram. I have a tenth of a gram if I move it. So it's fairly close. And this last one, whew, 157. Okay. Well, I guess 157, 156.9. We're going to call it 156.9. So we have 156.9 being the highest, which is in spec according to manufacturer, is only 0.9 grams up, so it's less than 1 gram. The problem is this 154.9, which it's possible that my scale is off by an actual tenth. So if it's off by a tenth, like the way it's doing right now, if it's off by a tenth and we scale everything up a tenth of an inch, then we have 155 to 157. So they're in spec, just the difference between the heaviest one and the lightest one on the front, it's 2 grams. So we're gonna have to do some serious work on the heavy ones to get them to the same weight. But I will remeasure just to be on the safe side, maybe a random order, so I can make sure that I didn't make any mistakes and that my jig is operating correctly. So after 4 measurements and a couple of beers, I have found that number 8, my list here, is the heaviest, with an average of 156.9 to 157. Seems to be right in the middle there. I'll call it 157. And the lightest is number 6. $154.9. So that puts me at 2.1 grams difference. So now we can say that maybe this jig is introducing some kind of error. So if the error is coming from the jig, then the rods are in spec. But if they're in spec, they're barely, not out of spec. And if they're out of spec, they're barely out of spec. We're talking about a tenth of a gram. So it's not a here nor there. The only part that's annoying is that there's such a big difference between the biggest one and the smallest one. So I have every single one to take down. So what I'm probably going to do is measure, for curiosity, the width of the small end on this one and the other one, just to see if they just shaved a lot more on this one than the other one, and if they're different widths, or if the weight is distributed, oddly, some other way. But That's pretty much what we're looking at.